Həmkarlar, hər birinizi xoş gördük. Artıq 19 iştirakçı qoşulubdur və digərlərində qısa müddətə qoşulacağını gözləyirik. Nəzərinizə çatdırım ki, yəni tərcümə də hər şey qaydasındadır. Azərbaycan dili üçün Almanı seçirsiniz tərcümə bölməsindən. İngilis dilində qulaq asanlar isə İngilisi. Və ilk təqdimata qədər siz iştirakçı kimi qeydiyyatdan keçmişsiniz, amma ki təqdimat qutarandan sonra hər biriniz panelist kimi qeydiyyata salınacaqsınız və ondan sonra canlı olaraq da hər bir iştirakçı istədiyi sualı verə bilər. Eyni zamanda ilk olaraq məlumat üçün bildirim ki, burada Q&A, yəni sual-cavab bölməsi var. O bölmədən də suallarınızı yaza bilərsiniz. Yəni hər hansı bir sualınız varsa sual-cavab bölməsindən istifadə etməkdən çəkinməyin. Artıq 3-cü təlimdə demək olar ki, iştirakçıların böyük hissəsi ilə qiyabi də olsa tanışıq, bir hissəsi ilə isə əyani olaraq tanışıq.
Now we have about 20 participants. This was an introduction, and Ramin explained that we have interpretation. This is the third event, so we're still waiting. And also Ramin explained that they have a status of attendees. That means that they can write only, and later on they will be switched to panelists status.
Ümid edirik ki, bugünkü tədbirdə hamınız üçün maraqlı olacaqdır və keçən dəfəki təqdimatların davamıdır. Bildiyiniz kimi ekspertlərimizin hər ikisi bu sahə üzrə Avropada böyük təcrübə qazanıblar və onun üçün təqdimatların gedişində suallarınız olarsa yazmaq, sual-cavab bölməsinə yazmağı unutmayın. Böyük məmnuniyyətlə cavablandıracaqlar. Eyni zamanda təqdimatdan sonra hər biriniz panelist kimi iştirak etmək hüququ qazanasınız. Orada da verə bilərsiniz suallarınızı. Belə görürəm ki, bütün iştirakçılar qeydiyyatdan keçib, artıq başlamaq olar. Yoxsa?
20 nəfər var, Ramil müəllim.
Bəli, iştirakçılar buradadır. Yəni
21 oldu.
Özal müəllim 2 dəfə qeydiyyatdan keçib, 20 nəfərdir yəqin ki. Və yaxud o adından 2 yoldaş istifadə edir. Özal Rüstəmli adı 2 nəfər qeydiyyatdan keçib. Eyni zamanda İqtisadiyyat Nazirliyindən həmkarlarımız buradadır, həm də Kənd Təsərrüfatı Nazirliyindən hər ikisini salamlayırıq. Həmişəki kimi Fariz müəllim də iştirak edir, çox sağ olsun. Aqrar Tədqiqatlar Mərkəzinin də nümayəndələri iştirak edirlər. Çox sağ olun Elvin müəllim. İlk olaraq sual-cavab bölməsindən Elvin müəllim istifadə edib, digər həmkarlar da sərbəst şəkildə istifadə edə bilərlər və bütün suallarınızı yaza bilərsiniz. Tərcümə ilə bağlı elə mənim qənaətimcə hər şey qaydasındadır. Yəqin ki, sizlərin də hamısı tərcüməni eşidirsiniz.
So,
Yes, dear Angie, let's start.
so Irai, could you be so
Yes.
kind and open the seminar, the webinar?
Thank you so much. I will be very brief. First of all, I would like to thank everybody to participate in this webinar, and I hope that all, in addition of enjoying it, it can be a very interactive session. That's very important that we have the good experts, and I ask all the attendees, please be as interactive as possible, and you have the question answer session to use it. And even afterwards, we are at your disposal in case you have questions through emails or all the rest. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Even to the organizer, to the interpreter, to Mr. Kamal, to everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Jacek, could you take the floor for a while?
Yes, good morning. Good morning, everybody. I would like just simply to introduce all of us to the second thematic workshop, Building Capacities for Rural Development Programming. And let me recall that during the first workshop on Monday this week, we all, especially participants, had the chance to understand why we need rural policy and what kind of approach we should consider for programming such a strategy and funding altogether. And following that way of thinking, we had also a chance to identify who are the major stakeholders in the process of rural development planning, because programming is just a part of the planning, much broader term of the policy for the country. I think that the method we applied during the first workshop
Birinci seminer zamanı
satisfying you that enabled you to not only to listen, but also to actively participate and contribute to the process. We're going to repeat it. We're going to involve you in today's activities, be active, and I hope you will enjoy today's workshop as you enjoyed the previous one. Thank you very much, and Andrzej, you can start your work.
Thank you, Jacek. Both of you made a very good opening. So the background is well prepared. It's a pleasure for me to have a chance to talk to you again. Definitely, I will prefer to meet you face to face, to have a real interaction with you. But nonetheless, in this situation, we have no choice, and we need to experience this way of communication. What I am doing during this series of webinars, I am sharing with you in big part my personal experience. So quite often I refer to projects and programs into which I had been involved. So it's not only a theoretical background, but also a practical one. So let's start the first session, first presentation. So in the first presentation, we will discuss the relation between goals and objectives. We will try to better understand what is behind of those terms, how we should understand them. And then we'll move to very, very important agenda, United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. It is something, I think, what everyone, each public servant in every country should be aware of. Then we have not, in fact, the questions. It will be some task for you, which I will clarify right moment. So, what is the goal? The goal is something wider. It's a short statement which try to define what we want to achieve. What is our desired outcome to be accomplished over rather a longer time frame. Usually it's 5, sometimes 3 years. So it is a really broad statement that focuses on the results. So it's not very detailed. There is no methods in the goal how we want to achieve these results. So something wider, more general. So goal. Objectives has the word object in this as a part of this word. So object is very concrete. So because of this, objective can and should be scoped with the time phrase, with money, with real budget, and we expect to have a real, tangible, measurable results. So in many organizations, I used the SMART criteria for goal settings and objectives of the method for achieving those goals. So what is behind this SMART concept of the objectives? So objectives should be specific. Objectives have a high level of concreteness with real metrics and deadlines that need to be tracked. So you really should be aware on which point of achieving this objective you are in the given moment of time. So it has to be very, very specific what we want to achieve. Measurable. So to make sure that we are going into the right direction, we need to track our objectives. So on which way we are already now, how the performance is going on. So we need some kind of indicators which allowed us to track it and measure it. The next feature of the objectives that objectives should be attainable. Objectives are challenging but possible. So it has to be real. Otherwise, first of all, you will not achieve them, and also it could be a demotivation for stakeholders. So be realistic. Objective should be relevant. So it means that objective should really be related to your long-term goal, and it should be in line with your vision, what your organization wants to achieve. So objective should be relevant. So next feature of the objective is time bound. Already a while ago, I said it should be in time frame. So your objective needs to have a concrete deadline, not that on some time we achieve it. Someday is not the day of the week. We need to finish it, for example, on Monday or Tuesday, not someday. So the time bound, the deadline, it's an element, one of the important feature of the objective. On this table, you can see some kind of, let's say, comparison goals and objective. So definition. Some kind of summary it is. Nazrin, could you switch off your microphone? The direction of overall destination of your organization that help you realize your vision. Objective is an exact action, a step for achieving the goals. Specificity. Goal is general. So it's a general intention or direction into which the organization is going to. Objective is very specific, very precise. Plan, broad scope. Objective is much more narrow, very specific. Thank you. So let me briefly show you the goal. This short statement with rather long time frame. Objective, which is much more concrete, and there is specific, measurable, attainable, relevant. So related to our goal, and the real step towards fulfilling or achieving, implementing the vision of our organization. Time bound, and this table on which I already told you that what is the differences in the definition. So goal, the direction and overall destination of your organization that helps you realize your vision. The objective is the exact action and step of your organization towards achieving your goals. That goal is general intention or direction. Objective is specific and precise. Looking from the plan point of view, the goal is broad. Objective is narrow. Size. Goal is large. They're very holistic. Objective is small chunk, part of this wholeness, part of the whole. What example? For example, because it's this table is more from the business, but we can, after some adjustment, to also use it for other organization. So examples and actions show you what it could be in the case of goal, in the increase international customer base, and in the case of the objective is very specific, which market, which share of the market, and in what time frame you want to achieve. Actions. Goal is a general outcome. Objective is specific action with measurable steps. So goal is not really measurable, but objective should be easy to be measured. Goal is long term and objective is medium and in some cases even a short term. So objectives are specific, actionable targets that need to be achieved with a smaller time frame, such as a year or less, to reach a certain defined adopted goals. Objectives describe the action or activities in achieving a goal. So it is the objective. It is important to remember what is the goal, what is the objective, because in the while I will ask you to do something related to those terms. But before doing this exercise, let me say a few words about United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, because it is something very, very important for everyone on the earth, for the human being. In 2015, in September, member states of the United Nations adopted the Sustainable Development Goals. This is called sometimes the 2030 Agenda, 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. So the global objective expected to guide the action to the international community over now this just 10 years, but during this decision was a 15-year period for implementing this agenda for achieving sustainable development goals. This agenda 2030 offers a vision of better, more peaceful world in which no one is left behind. So what are those sustainable goals? First of all, United Nations General Assembly adopted the decision that there will be 17 goals. But to make those goals achievable, it was adopted the decision that the concrete targets are behind those goals. In a while, I will show you some examples. And to be sure that we are moving in the right directions, there are also 230 indicators which measure targets and showing the road to the goals. So this agenda is implemented in the global partnership, and it's important there is systematic review and the follow-up of the action as a part of the whole process. So what are those goals? The most important: no poverty, no hunger, good health. In the case of the poverty, and mostly in the hunger, the world in the last decades moved into right directions, and systematically the number of unnourished people fell down. But now, due to the COVID, this positive trend was stopped or even reversed in some extent. Good health. quality of education, gender equality, clean water and sanitation, renewable energy, very important from the point of view of the climate changes caused by the human being. Good jobs and economic growth is the next goal. Innovation and infrastructure. Reduce inequalities. Sustainable cities and communities. Responsible consumption. Climate action. Seas. Life below water. Life on land. Peace and justice. Partnership for the goal. So the goals, the one is the way for achieving those 16 goals. So 17 sustainable development goals. So let's take some examples from those goals. Under goal 1, there's the objective that by 2030 we should reduce at least by half the proportion of men and women and children of all ages living in poverty in all its dimensions according to national definitions. So very concrete, reduced at half by 2030 people living in the poverty is one concrete objective. From second goal, zero hunger. By 2030, the agriculture productivity should double, and incomes of small-scale food producers, particularly women, indigenous people, family farmers, pastoralists and fishers should so their incomes should increase, and it should be also done through the way that they will have equal access to land and have access to other productive resources, access to knowledge, to financial resources, access to market, and opportunities for value addition and non-farm employment. This added value or share of added value, which is going back to farmers, is a big problem because, as I already mentioned it, that usually farmers have a very weak position in this food value, food chain, and their sharing in the added value is very limited. So the others are taking this added value. So you have here on the screen, in the case of this zero hunger, other targets that you can see yourself what should be achieved. I will show the link to the website that you can take a look yourself. So let's look at another goal: decent work and economic growth. An example of the objective. So it is the goal, and here is the objective: achieve higher level of productivity of economies through diversification, technological upgrading, and innovation, including through a focus on high value added and labor intensive sector. So again, we see here this issue of participation in the added value. Three-dimensional sustainability. So first of all, the agenda is universal. So and the agenda 2030 is relevant to developed as it is to developing nations. So each member on our globe has its task for fulfilling this agenda, for achieving the goals. Rich countries and less rich nations as well. Developed countries and those which are called developing countries. Indivisible. No one goal is separate from others. So those interrelations between goals is an important element. It is the reason why this 17 goal cooperation and coordination is so important, because there is a need for comprehensive and participatory approach. So many institutions, many organizations should be involved into the process, both on the state level and international multi-state level as well. Sustainable, integrating the three dimensions of sustainable development, so economic, social, and environmental dimension of development is taking into account in the agenda 2030. So sustainable development goals are ambitious, aiming the ending poverty and hunger, while sustainably managing natural resources. In the context of this climate changes, it's very, very important that this sustainability of managing natural resources is taken into account. They are defined, devised, and fully owned by countries after broadcast and most intensive global multi-stakeholder consultation in history. The Sustainable Development Goals are the main reference for development policies and programs at national level. Yesterday, I took part in the meeting of the working group of the European Rural Development Network. The working group, thematic group, is about the Rural Vision 2040. And it was stressed a few times that European Union tried to formulate its policies in the way that sustainable development goals are taking into account. So the European policy tried to fulfill those objectives as well. So it was goals and objectives with most important example, United Nations Agenda 2030. And now we are moving to the second part of this first session of our today webinar. On the previous webinar, among the question was the question concerning the SAPART implementation and how it was, let's say, controlled, the implementation, the project. So for this purpose, the system, institutional system we applied, the paying agency was created. The paying agency is responsible for, and it was in the case of SAPART, responsible for implementation the program, and farmers or companies apply for financing from the program. It was the clear criteria of selection, then the clear criteria of implementation, and it was a control system. So that for achieving the support, you need to fulfill the well-defined criteria. About how the system works, we'll discuss on one of the coming seminar when we'll discuss in detail the implementation system and the role of the paying agency. So we'll go back to this issue. So what is my kind request to you for today? So please, I ask all participants and everyone, please formulate 3 goals for rural development policy in Azerbaijan. Again, please don't treat it as examination. Rather, use this time for creation. So try to think out of box. And just please write what you feel. What is your feeling? What is your first impression? Write your proposal on the Zoom blog or answer the questions. I am not sure. Ramil will explain it once again if it's the need. Write your proposals in Azeri, and you have for this task 5 minutes. So 5 minutes for you for writing your proposals. What should be, what kind of goals you see for rural development policy in Azerbaijan? Is it clear? So 5 minutes for you. Ramil, if you would like to add something, please do it.
Okay. Hörmətli həmkarlar, yəqin ki məsələ aydın oldu. Hörmətli həmkarlar, yəqin ki məsələ aydın oldu. Sadəcə olaraq burada keçən dəfəki təlimdə olduğu kimi sizin fikirlərinizi bilmək istəyir ki, Azərbaycanda kənd inkişaf siyasətinin 3 hədəfini formalaşdırın. Yəni ki, burada sadəcə olaraq siz öz istəklərinizi yazırsınız və sual-cavab bölməsinə zəhmət olmasa.
Ramil is explaining that you should express your views and please be precise and concise.
Siyasətinin formalaşmasındakı 3 hədəf. Yəni qısaca yazsaz minnətdar olaraq 5 dəqiqə vaxtınız var.
You have 5 minutes. You're welcome to write in any language you can. I mean English and Azerbaijani. Then we will move to the next stage. Please be active.
Öz fikrinizi bildirəsiniz. Yəni qoyulan, əslində sizin hamınız bu sahənin içindəsiniz, siz çox yaxşı bilirsiniz, dövlət sənədləri ilə işləyirsiniz, Azərbaycanda kənd inkişaf siyasəti, onun hədəfləri və öz baxışlarınızı, öz fikirlərinizi yazın. Qeyd elədiyi kimi, yəni bu imtahan deyil, sadəcə olaraq sizin fikirlərinizi istəyir. 1, 2, 3 maddə halında bildirəsiniz ki, nə də görürsünüz. Hələlik cavabları gözləyirik. Bir qədər aktiv olun. Bu sahənin içində olan peşəkarlar üçün şübhəsiz ki, sizin hamınızın gördüyünüz hədəflər var Azərbaycan üçün də kənd inkişaf siyasəti ilə bağlı. Və onu da qeyd edeyim ki, bu təqdimat qutarandan sonra sizin hər biriniz panelist kimi daxil olacaqsınız və ona uyğun olaraq da suallarınızı verərək müzakirənin növbəti mərhələsində iştirak edəcəksiniz. İlk cavab Elvin müəllimdən gəldi, Elvin Nemətlidən. Çox sağ olun Elvin müəllim. Operativ şəkildə fikirlərinizi yazdığınız üçün konkret şəkildə minnətdarıq. Digər həmkarlarımız da Ülvi Abışov da yazdı. Çox sağ olun Ülvi müəllim. Belə qısa, konkret cavablara minnətdarıq.
The process is ongoing. Ramin is running the process, gives comments to different statements. I mean, appreciates the participation of the attendees. I'll grab some glass of water and coming back.
Fərid müəllim çox sağ olun. Fərid müəllim də öz cavabını yazıbdı. Təşəkkür edirik. Digər həmkarlarda da xahiş edirik, aktivlik bir qədər də artırsınlar. Sizin fikirləriniz növbəti təlimlər üçün də vacibdir ki, çünki sizin istəklərinizə uyğun olaraq növbəti təlimləri təkmilləşdirilməsi istiqamətində iş gedəcəkdir. İlqar Pənahov yazıb. İlqar müəllim çox sağ olun, minnətdarıq. Təranə xanım da cavabını yazıb. Çox sağ olun Təranə xanım. Eldar Quliyev də yazıb. Çox sağ olun Eldar müəllim, minnətdarıq. Musa müəllim də yazıb. Çox sağ olun Musa müəllim. Abdullah Kərimov. Çox sağ olun Abdullah müəllim. Sizin də cavablar qeydə alındı. Təşəkkür edirik. Çox maraqlı cavablar var, həm də aktuallıq daşıyır, çünki sizlərin hər biri bu prosesin içərisindəsiz və ən yaxşı vəziyyəti bilən sizlərsiniz.
Ramiu, two participants Ulvi Abisov and Tarana Haydarova, they rose their hands. They have some questions, I understand. Oh.
İki həmkarımız əlin qaldırıbdı. Yəni ekspertimizdə qeyd etdiyi kimi onların sualları ola bilər. Suallar üçün yəni ki, şərait yaradılacaqdır. Yəni ki, bizcə azacıq səbirli olaq. Təqdimat qutarandan sonra hər biriniz panelist olasınız, oradan sual verirsiniz. Həmçinin istəsəz buradan yazılı şəkildə də suallarınızı verə bilərsiniz. Bütün variantlarda sizin sualları dinləməkdən məmnun olarıq. Rəşad müəllim də yazıb, Rəşad İskəndərov. Çox sağ olun Rəşad müəllim.
So Ramil, do you think that it's enough? We can move to the next task?
Çox sağ olun aktiv olduğunuz üçün hörmətli həmkarlar. Biz növbəti suala keçirik. Bir daha hər birinizə təşəkkür edirik ki, bu bölmədə aktiv şəkildə öz cavablarınızı qeyd eləmişsiniz.
Thank you all for active participation. Thank you.
Okay. So it means that we could move to the next task.
Növbəti məqsədə keçirik.
So the second task is having those three goals. Having your goals, you should define 3 objectives for each proposed goal. So it's more demanding. Please remember that objectives should be smart, specific, measurable, and in the time frame. So define 3 objectives for goals which you propose in the first exercise. And because it's more demanding, more difficult, it requires a bit more time. So for this task, you will have more time, 10 minutes. And again, feel free, don't be worried. Everything should go well, and the same way. Ramil, if you would like to add something, please do it. So 10 minutes for this task, 3 objectives for each proposed goal.
Çox sağ olun. Üzr istəyirəm, mikrofonu bağlamışdım, açmamışam. Tərcüməçimiz çox gözəl şəkildə izahat verdi. Yəni bu dəfə də 10 dəqiqə vaxtımız var və ikinci tapşırıqla bağlı siz ilk olaraq hədəfləri müəyyənləşdirdiniz. İndi onunla bağlı üst məqsədin formalaşmasına öz fikirlərinizi yazasınız. Burada qeyd elədiyimiz kimi bayaq da bu imtahan deyil. Sadəcə olaraq nə düşünürsünüz, nə görürsünüz, öz fikirləriniz burada vacibdir. İşin içində olan bu siyasətin həyata keçirməsinə töhfə verən sizlərsiniz. Onun üçün ikinci sualla bağlı da aktiv olmanızı xahiş edirik. Birinci suala 17 həmkarımız cavab yazmışdı. Çox sağ olun. Çox yaxşı da məsələlər qoyublar. Hörmətli həmkarlar, tam sərbəst olun, sizdən cavabları gözləyirik. Onu da qeyd edeyim ki, birinci sualla bağlı çox yaxşı məsələlər qoyulubdur, çox aktual məsələlərə toxunulubdur. Xahiş eləyirəm, aktiv olun, fikirlərinizi bildirməkdə 10 dəqiqə vaxtımız var idi və sizin aktivliyinizi gözləyirik. Və həmkarlarımız maraqlıdır ki, kənd turizmindən, aqrar subsidiyadan, dayanıqlı inkişafa kimi bir çox maraqlı məsələlərə toxunublar, hər biri də aktualdır. Ekoloji məsələlərə kimi hər bir məsələyə əksini tapıb suallara baxıram.
So it's enough time. I believe yes.
Bəli, cavablar var. Hörmətli həmkarlar, çox sağ olun ətraflı izaha görə. Yes. Okay. Anca.
Thank you very much. So now if you have any question or comments to this part, please feel free to do it. If not, thank you for your attention for this session. Thank you for your hard work with proposing goals and objectives. And now we will have 15 minutes break, during which I will put your answers into my next presentations. And after the break, we'll start the next session with discussion. What are your proposal? What kind of goals, and what kind of objectives for achieving those goals do you propose? Thank you very much. 15 minutes.
Let's meet 8 o'clock. Not 8. It will be.
It will be
11 o'clock.
11 o'clock.
11 o'clock. Yes.
Let's meet 11 o'clock.
Hopefully, I will finish it. So, Ramil, please send me the answers. Thank you.
Okay. 15 dəqiqəlik hörmətli həmkarlar, fasiləmiz var. Ondan sonra qaldığımız yerdən davam edəcəyik.
Okay. Shall we continue, Jacek?
I think yes.
Okay.
Yes. Well, let's start again. Let's start.
Yeah.
Thank you. So, thank you very much for your very, very active participations in those two tasks. And let's take a look what are your answers. In this session, I will tell a bit about administrative level of which the rural development programming should be prepared, proposed, and implemented. So everything is under this capacity building on rural development of our project. I will, after discussion, what are your proposal of goals and objectives. I will briefly present example of India and European Union. Why India? India is important for many reasons. Probably quite soon India will be the biggest state on the earth, taking into account of number of inhabitants, because China, with its one-child policy, could lose the first place. But what's important in India, a big share of the populations are rural people, rural inhabitants. Something, I think, around 1/4 of world rural populations are those living in India. But also because they are doing interesting and very positive things. And the next example is European Union, with very well developed programming and implementing system with very well developed institutions for rural development. And very important part will be a discussion which will be on the end of this session. The discussion will be moderated by Professor Ramil. So, what are your proposals for goals for Azerbaijan? Perspective for economic development, development of infrastructure, human development. Very, very, very general, but very, very good proposals. Other proposal, improving living standard in rural areas. So it's again it's a very good proposal that the living standard of inhabitants is the objective. We want to increase the level of well-being of our citizens. Balanced standard of living, sustainable development, increasing of agricultural subsidies. I put the question mark here myself because in fact I would like to thank the participant who proposed it because it's for me a great opportunity to discuss what kind of mistakes we can do proposing goals, and look at the subsidies. Subsidies, it's not objective itself. We are doing it for something. We are doing it for making sustainable the agriculture production. So, for example, the objective, the goal, the goal to ensure the food supply for the citizens. So we need farmers, we need agriculture production, we need the food production system, and subsidies is a tool for keeping the system. So subsidies could be some kind of, maybe even not the objective. It's not the objective, it's a mechanism, instrument. But quite often people who are working on strategies, a program, they face this challenge. What is the goal? What is the objective? And what kind of instruments and indicators we should to apply? So subsidies could be a tool, for example, because we would like to ensure that farmers have a good enough standard of living, because we need farmers for producing food. Another proposed goals: adaptation of infrastructure in rural areas to the city. So I understand it that to increase the level of infrastructure system in rural areas, that the conditions and standard of living in rural area will be similar to those in the city. Improving the quality of education and enlightenment. Creation of sustainable jobs. And again, infrastructure, development of rural tourism, agrotourism. And what kind of objectives for proposed goals are? ensuring direct market access. And of course, such objective requires proposed more precise to which market, which share of the market, and so on, the time frame and such details. Promoting multi-sectoral production, reducing unemployment, increase of employment of rural residents in order to create new jobs and prevent influx into the city in accordance with climate conditions and the relief. Strengthening the social economic development of rural areas. Increasing the income of the population in rural areas. And environmental protection in rural areas. So here it seems to be some of those objectives are maybe too general. We could face a challenge to propose the measures, to propose the concrete results and indicators, but it could be possible. Is procedures to get the government financial support to expand the working area and tools to operate. The ability to change the status of the land into the land more fertile but suitable for another activity like tourism. So it's very here is a very concrete proposals. It could be the objective. I see, for example, this different the creation, the legal, I understand, possibility to use land for other activity than agriculture. But I think that looking at those objectives and goals a while ago, you see that it's not so easy as it could seem on the first sight. So for sure, as a serious exercise, you need to think a lot. You need to discuss. You need to involve the stakeholders and discuss with them, because this participatory approach, it's extremely important. First of all, you could avoid mistakes, but what is maybe even more important than when you really invite people and discuss with them what they want to achieve, you could create a situation of the ownership, and you will have a real partner in the implementation process. So all stakeholders, beneficiaries, should be involved into the process when you discuss goals and objectives and try to find the agreement what you would like to do. Because you have to remember that always you have limited resources, and this is some kind of the political decision what should be done first and to which extent. Other objectives: to increase employment and provide special training to the rural population. Yes, it's a very important, because without such training, people who are currently working in agriculture, they have difficulty to find a job outside of agriculture. To ensure the export of farmers' products to foreign markets. Because we need, again, mechanisms for it and so on. Development of social infrastructure. stimulating measures for young people to stay and work in rural areas. In the European Union, for many years, already in the few programming periods, we have the schemes for young farmers. So this problem of young people moving from rural areas, and also the problem of succession of farm, that you know, the children, they prefer to do something different than working on the farm, is for sure is a challenge. So it's a good point to find a way to convince young people to stay work in rural areas. Of course, it has to be done in the way that they want to stay here, not you force them, like for many years, and still, in fact, is the situation in China, for example. Then, you know, that rural people, rural inhabitants, they need a special permission for moving to the city or register in the city. Facilitating farmers' access to the market, development of small production area, increasing the rate of agricultural subsidies, play a role in the world market by branding our products with the high export potential. It's one of the proposed objectives. Ensuring direct market access, promoting multi-sectoral production, and reducing unemployment. So those was your proposals, and now we are moving from Azerbaijan to India. So a strategy for poverty alleviation in India. I already said a while ago why I chose India.
Seçmişim. Misal olarak
Rural development has assumed global attention when the world and international community start to combat the poverty, because the poverty is very much rural poverty. So to eliminate poverty, rural development has a great role to contribute to this process. It has great significance for the country like India, where majority of the population, over 60% of the people, live in rural areas. So you see what is the situation, and it's a real challenge. And the present strategy of rural development in India is focusing on the poverty alleviation, better livelihood opportunities, provision of basic amenities and infrastructure facilities through innovative programs of wage and self-employment. So you could see from these goals that some of them, like infrastructure.
Andrzej, I lost you.
Okay, my microphone is working.
Okay, I can hear you. Please go ahead.
Do you hear me now?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And here you have the link that you can open the strategy, and you can see the website of the Ministry of Rural Development of India to see more details. So rural development in India is one of the most important factors for the growth of the Indian economy. It's worth to mention once more, that rural development in the country is not only for rural inhabitants. It's hard to imagine the development of the country that, you know, only the urban part is developing and the rural part is lagging behind. Such unbalance, it's really very bad for the whole country. So always those who advocate for rural development should stress that we are doing it for the well-being of all citizens, not only for rural people. So India is primarily an agriculture-based country. Agriculture contributes about 20% of the gross domestic products in India. So the increasing effectiveness, increasing the growth, increasing the production of agriculture is a very important task for the government, and they have for this purpose several programs. So in India, rural and agriculture development is very much linked, but this off-farm activity, self-employment outside of agriculture, it's also very, very, very important. And the Minister of Rural Development is the body. So you can see this institutional framework in India. The Minister of Rural Development with its department is the main institution which is formulating policies, preparing regulation and acts pertaining to the development of the rural sector. Agriculture, handicrafts, fisheries, poultry, and dairy are the primary contributors to the rural business and economy. So you see that handcrafts is a part of the rural economy, mostly the self-employment. Rural development in India has witnessed several changes over the years. The emphasis put it on different aspects. They change approaches with the course of time. They change strategies and improving their programs. It has assumed a new dimension now and perspective, and they try to be more consequent. Rural development can be richer and more meaningful only through the participation of clientless of development. So beneficiary and stakeholders involvement is very, very important, this participatory approach. So planning, people involvement, it's a crucial element in this development. So you should to remember, whatever are you doing, we are doing it for people, by involving people, doing for people, with people, not just, you know, only top-down approach. It should be that also this bottom-up involvement, which really is very, very helpful for achieving a better result and creating the situation of ownership. In India, different departments are responsible for the different part of the strategy. They have the few programs, and for each program there is a department responsible for it. So improving rural livelihood is obvious, more equitable and sustainable. Sustainable from the point of view of social and environmental as well. So economy, society, and environment. Better access to assets. It's really a challenge in the case of India. Better access to services and more control over productive capital. So, for example, through the microloans. What are objectives of India Rural Development Program? So, in fact, I use the wrong word here because we have more goals here: alleviation of poverty through unemployment, creation of basic social and economic infrastructure, training of rural unemployed youth, so young rural inhabitants. It's again a very important element, like in all countries. Providing employment for marginal farmers, those living in rural areas without agricultural land, and convince people to stay in rural areas, not migrate to urban areas. So this is the first page of the vision document. When you will open the link in the presentation, you can take a look yourself at this document and read it to see the section, to see programs and so on. So there are some screen prints from these documents. So transform rural economy through modern infrastructure. Those things which already I talked about a while ago, so there is no need to repeat it. But I would like to focus your attention for a while on the public transport. I don't know what is the situation in Azerbaijan, but in many countries, as we see in India, in Poland is that also the challenge to have an access to the local regional centers by the public transport means. So public transport is a very essential, is very important for rural development. So goals and opportunities of this department. The Minister of Agriculture was responsible for this vision document. And so well-defined rules and precise defines the responsibilities of different stakeholders and data-driven. So those decisions should, during the implementation, should be taken on the base of the concrete data. On the screen, you see goals, but looking at the time, and I would like to have more time for you to discuss under the moderation of Ramil what kind of administrative level could be. I will go ahead and move to the European Union. So in the European Union, the rural development is done through the rural development programs and tailored to fit and unique challenges and covering capabilities. So we have the European Agriculture Fund for Rural Development. This finance from this fund and from the state's budget. These programs can be prepared on the national or regional basis. So it's the decision of the member states of the European Union what program they would like to have. Those programs should cover at least 4 out of 6 priorities defined by the European Union. Countries must set targets according to those specific selected focus area, should identify measures which they want to use and which they want to be funding. All those measures for achieving chosen targets. And the European Commission approves and monitors rural development programs. And the decision regarding the selection of the projects and granting of payments are done by the state or region in the member states during the implementation program. So here on the screen, we have some links to the European website. We'll see how fast it will work. I have quite good internet connection, but I'm afraid that the processor in my computer is a limit. So on this website, you have rural development programs by country. So we have countries which have only one rural development program, but for example, in Belgium, there are two rural development programs. They have the program for Flanders and program for Wallonia. In the case, let's take, maybe Italy. In Italy, they have a rural development program for each and every region. So Abruzzo and so on. So they have a regional development program. In such case, of course, there is a need for good coordination. And one more example. Poland. In Poland, we have one rural development program for the whole country, but some measures are implemented on the regional or even local level in the case of the leader, but we can say regional. So we have one program with some regional features. And I'm not going to open those links. Here is the link to the German program, Italian, which I opened, and Poland. So now we are moving to the very important part of this session. I would like to ask you what, from your point of view, is the best solution for Azerbaijan. What administrative level is the best for preparing and implementing rural development program in Azerbaijan from your point of view? Should be one program for the whole country? Should it be for regions, or maybe other proposals? So Ramil, please moderate the discussion. I think that 15 minutes for the discussions, or if you will need more time, we could be flexible. Go ahead, please. So I hope the participants...
Açmamışdım. Çox sağ olun, təşəkkür edirəm.
Thank you. I didn't open my microphone.
Burada aktiv olacaqlar. Çox maraqlı məsələlərə toxundu. Çıxışçı bildiyiniz kimi həm inkişaf etmiş Avropa İttifaqı təcrübəsinə burada yer ayırdı, həm də Hindistan təcrübəsinə ki, Hindistan inkişaf edən ölkələr.
India and of course for us it is important to find best practices from other countries. Equally important for us to look at the mistakes done by other countries so that we would avoid them. I guess we will switch our attendees to panelists, no? Or how that works? What is the way to go on with discussions?
So for sure, they should have an option to open and mute their microphones.
Nəzrin xanım, zəhmət olmasa iştirakçılara bu imkanı yaradın, mikrofonları açılsın və hər bir iştirakçı maksimum aktivlik göstərsin, öz fikirlərini bildirməsi bizim üçün xoşdur. Çünki bildiyiniz kimi yaxşı nəticələrə müzakirələr zamanı gəlir və iki Azərbaycanın bu sahədəki mühüm nazirliyinin əməkdaşları burada iştirak edirlər və onlar bu prosesin içindədirlər. Demək olar ki, Azərbaycanda bu sahəni
we have the best experts that are here today with us, those who know the situation in Azerbaijan and the issue in the question the best. Please, Nazrin, make sure that all the participants are moved to panelist level, so they're gradually moving. Please make sure that your microphone is off if you're not speaking. Those who do not speak, please turn off your microphones. And also, you can turn off your videos in order to improve the traffic. Yes, who wants to speak?
Salamlayıram mən hər kəsi, bütün iştirakçıları və belə bir formatda keçirilməsi üçün əziyyət çəkənlərə də.
Yes, I want to thank everybody who took the damage and pain of organizing all this event. Thank you very much for all your efforts. So the question is, what is the best level for Azerbaijan, national or regional? Well, until now, all the programs in Azerbaijan...
Amma ümumi şəkildə hazırlanmışdı daha doğrusu. Mən hesab edirəm ki, proqramların regional, yəni bölgələr şəklində hazırlanması düzdür bir qədər çox zəhmət tələb edir, amma hazırlanması daha yaxşı olardı. Çünki bölgələrin istehsal infrastrukturu bir-birindən fərqlənir. İxtisaslaşma istehsal sahələrinə görə fərqlilik var. Və bu bölgələr üzrə olsa daha konkret olar, daha dəqiq məqsədlər, hədəflər müəyyən edilə bilər. Hansı ərazidə hansı sahələrin inkişafı, hansı istiqamətdə inkişafı. Düz Azərbaycan elə böyük bir geniş ərazilərə malik deyil, amma yenə də bizim iqtisadi bölgələrimiz var və hər iqtisadi bölgənin müəyyən istiqamətləri var, istehsal sahələri var, resurs potensialı var. İstər sənaye baxımından, istər kənd təsərrüfatı baxımından. Ona görə proqramların regional bölünüb hazırlanması daha effektiv olar, daha yaxşı nəticələr əldə etmək mümkün olar. Mən belə hesab edirəm.
Eldar müəllim, yəni sizin qənaətinizcə hər bir iqtisadi rayon üzrə olmalıdır proqramda.
Hesab edirəm ki, elə olsa daha yaxşı olar. Çünki konkret hədəflər, konkret məqsədlər müəyyən edilməsi daha asan olar.
Aydındır. Çox sağ olun Eldar müəllim, öz fikrinizi bildirdiyiniz üçün və belə deyək də, çünki birinci də soruşurdu ki, Azərbaycan üçün ən yaxşı variant, option, seçim hansıdır? Sizin qənaətinizcə iqtisadi regionlar üzrə hazırlansa bu proqram Azərbaycan üçün daha yaxşı variant.
Daha yaxşı olar.
Mən də əlavə eləmək istəyirdim, icazə verirsə.
Buyurun.
Onlar həm ingiliscəyə sonra bilər, bizim dildə deyim, yoxsa nə formada?
Tərcümə var, hansı dildə istəyirsə çıxış edə bilərsiniz.
First of all, I appreciate all attendees and thank you very much for such kind of opportunity to explain ourselves. And I'm very totally agree with our previous colleague that the approach should be particular and to the regional because the regions are different from each other. For example, in the questionnaire section, I just underlined, for example, as an ex-entrepreneur of a rural area, I faced with very different type of problems. Now I'm just working as official. So one of the problem was the northern area when I just got the land, and that was situated behind the hotel resort, and the wastewater problem, and also the soil erosion and the denudation or oversoil problem. So that land was, useless. So I couldn't change the status of the property of the land because initially it was given as a, like only strict for rural activities. But my land was much good for hotel and the tourism business, but I couldn't change. So this is one of the problem I faced. The second one, with procedures that got the connection with the government officials should be easy. For example, if entrepreneur just want to change his activity structure, it should be easy to make it like a documentary and a bureaucracy. So this is it. So that's why I think the approach should be regional and focused on the land specific characteristics. So this is my mind. Thank you very much for your attention.
Çox sağ olun Ramin müəllim. Ümumiyyətlə aktiv iştirak üçün Eldar müəllimə də sizə də öz minnətdarlığımı
Mən də
bildirirəm.
təşəkkür edirəm.
Çox sağ olun. Təranə xanım Heydarovanın əlavələri var idi. Buyurun Təranə xanım, biz böyük məmnuniyyətlə sizi dinləyirik. Təranə xanım, mikrofonu zəhmət olmasa yandırın. Biz böyük məmnuniyyətlə sizi dinləyirik.
Excuse me, I lost translation to English. Could you
Yes. Yes, Anil Bey, please, can you solve it? I think we lost link for Elşad müəllim. Maybe when I turn the participants to panelists. Can you check it, please?
I think he's offline now. He's not here. Am I right? I couldn't see him on the panelist.
Yes, the same situation for me.
If we lost interpreter, so Ramil moderate discussion in Azeri, and you will make a brief summary on the end. But I think that we should do it for the next seminar. That interpreter would be a place which is minimizing the risk that we will lose connection with him during the session. So please keep in mind. And now, Ramil, please moderate discussion in Azeri, and on the end, please make a brief wrap up, the brief summary of the discussion. Thank you very much, the previous speakers, for great contribution, and due to your excellent English, we have a chance to understand even with interpreter.
My pleasure.
Çox sağ olun Ramil müəllim. Təranə xanım, böyük məmnuniyyətlə biz sizin də fikirləri dinləməyə hazırıq. Biz istəyirik. İştirak etməyən digər həmkarlar zəhmət olmasa mikrofonu bağlayın. Biz də Təranə xanıma qulaq asırıq. Digərlərinin mikrofon bağlamasını xahiş edirik. Çox sağ olun. Təranə xanım, sizi dinləyirik. Çox sağ olun, çata yazmısınız. Eyni zamanda qoşulub canlı şəkildə də müzakirədə bildirə bilərsiniz, Təranə xanım, zəhmət olmasa. Yəni, tam sərbəst olun. Bura tədbirdə iştirak edirik ki, siz Azərbaycan variantından danışın, mikrofonu yandırın, biz sizi eşidəcəyik. Təranə xanım. Mikrofonunuz sönlüdür məncə onun üçün. Təranə xanımın qoşulması ilə bağlı texniki problem yarandı, səsi eşidilmir. Bu problem həll olunana kimi iştirakçılardan, digər həmkarlarımızdan kimin sözü varsa buyura bilər.
Salam.
Salam Elvin müəllim. Buyurun, ən aktiv iştirakçılardan biri sizsiniz. Sizi eşitmək istəyirəm.
Çox gözəl. Ümumiyyətlə, tədbir seminar çox əhəmiyyətlidir. Belə deyək də, bizim təlimçilərimiz də çox professionaldılar. Təqdimatlar da çox səviyyəli hazırlanıb, lakin bütün bunlar Zoom proqramının texniki imkanların kölgəsində qalır, çox təəssüf ki. Könül istərdi ki, dəqiqin bas arxasında bunları daha aktiv müzakirə edək. Və yaxud Eldar müəllim dedi...
Sözünüzü kəsəm, o bizim də arzumuzdur ki, dəqiqin masa arxasında bunlar davam eləsin, çünki vacibdir.
İnşallah pandemiyadan sonra, bəli.
Tamamilə üzbəüz müzakirə olacaqdır.
İnşallah.
Gərək şərait uyğunlaşaq, vaxtımızdan maksimum istifadə edib, bəli. Müəyyən texnik problemlər var, üzrü sayın. Tərcüməçimiz də qoşuldu.
Eldar müəllim,
mən çox üzr istəyirəm, bir dəqiqə sizin sözünü kəsib. Mənə tərcüməçi statusu verilsin, mən təkrar qoşulum sizin müzakirələrə. Özürlə hesab edin, deyəsə internet kəsildi tam.
Çox sağ olun. Nəzrin xanım, zəhmət olmasa tərcüməçi statusu verin. Elvin müəllim bir saniyə üzrlü sayın. Bu proqramları daşıyacağıq. İnşallah növbəti illərdə Zoomdan və digər proqramlardan daha yaxşı istifadəni, ümumiyyətlə proqramların öz də keyfiyyətini artıracaqdır. Bu pandemiya artıq hamıya öyrətdi, xüsusən də gənc nəsil bu sahədə daha peşəkardır.
Ən yaxşı ünsiyyət üzbəüzdür orada, heç bir texniki problem yaranmır.
Düzdür. Texnikadır və xahiş də bilmir, tanışdıq da və yaxud da vaxtda. Amma inkişaf edir, artıq birinci sinifə gedən uşaqlarımız Microsoft Teams-dən istifadə edirlər. O dərəcədə biz son bir ildə pandemiya şəraitində olsa da gənc nəsil faydalana bildi. Nəzrin xanım, zəhmət olmasa tərcüməçimizin üçün müvafiq statusu təmin edin.
Andrei Ilyasik, I'm sorry, I just was kicked out of the internet completely and I'm back now.
Zəhmət olmasa Elvin müəllim, davam edin.
Few minutes, I will just get the status of the interpreter. I'm not an interpreter yet because if I speak now, I will just speak to the audience. I'm waiting. Just 1 minute.
Not losing time, I think that we can do it in this way, that Ramil will moderate discussion in Azeri, till the moment when you reach the status of interpreter, you will start interpret. But nonetheless, Professor Hussein will make a brief summary of the discussion.
Okay, thanks. Elvin müəllim, zəhmət olmasa öz
Hə, bəli,
fikirlərinizi
bəli.
bildirin. Biz böyük məmnuniyyətlə sizi dinləyirik.
Çox sağ olun. Bayaq Eldar müəllim qeyd elədi, regional proqramlar hazırlanmalıdır. Amma belə deyək də, o regional proqramlar hazırlananda da belə hər bir rayonun öz potensialı belə deyək, nəzərə alınmalıdır. Məsələn, biz Lənkəran iqtisadi rayonu nümunəsini götürsək, məsələn, Lənkəranda Astara rayonu ilə Cəlilabad rayonunun iqlim fərqləri də müxtəlifdir. Əkin belə deyək də, sahələrində də müxtəliflik var. Yəni orada başqa bir şeylər əkilir, burada başqa şeylər becərilir. Məsələn, lirik və yardımlı rayonları tamam dağlıq rayonlardır. Orada tamam başqa çağırışlar bizi gözləyir. Ona görə hər bir rayonun öz iqtisadi potensialına, harda nəyi inkişaf elətdirmək olarsa, məhz onları nəzərə alaraq həmin rayonlarda, həmin belə deyək, ərazilərdə, kənd yerlərində inkişaf etdirilməsi üçün bu proqramlar belə deyək, qeyd olunmalıdır. Çox sağ olun.
Amma sizin də fikriniz ondan ibarətdir ki, yəni regionlar üzrə hazırlanmalıdır.
Mənim fikrim ondan ibarət ki, ilk öncə rayonlaşma aparılmalıdır ki, hansı rayonda biz nəyi istəyirik?
Bu kənd təsərrüfatı istehsalı ilə bağlı deyirsiniz ki, hansı rayonda? Çünki burada ümumiyyətlə tək kənd təsərrüfatı yox, biraz kompleks kəndin inkişafı ilə bağlı məsələ gedir ki,
belədir, belədir. Hər bir rayonun elə bil ki, kəndlərində müxtəlif çağırışlar var. Məsələn, deyə bilərəm ki, Lerikdə məsələn üçün oranın elə kəndləri var ki, orada turizmin inkişafı olmalıdır, elə kəndlər var ki, orada əkinçilik inkişaf elətdirilməlidir. Yəni hər bir rayonun özünün bir iqtisadi potensialı hazırlanmalıdır.
Çox sağ olun öz fikirlərinizi bildirdiyiniz üçün. Təranə xanımın fikirləri yarımçıq qalmışdı, daha doğrusu səsini eşidə bilmədik. Təranə xanım, buyurun, ümid edirik bu dəfə səs problemi aradan qalxacaqdır.
Previous speaker mentioned that all the programs in Azerbaijan were developed on a regional basis, and the second speaker said that definitely we need to analyze all these pros and cons and capacities of every region in order to know what this region is capable of, what are the opportunities, what are the weaknesses, and then develop these programs based on that.
Amma onu deyim ki, yəni rayonlara bölüşdürüb proqram hazırlamaq bu bir qədər daha çətin bir prosesdir. Amma regional proqramların hazırlanmasının tədbirlər, yəni hər bir proqramın tədbirlər planı var. Tədbirlər planında Elvin müəllimin dediyi məsələlər nəzərə alına bilər.
Besides all of that, we need to also develop plan of actions. Basically, we have only Aran region where there is a lot of administrative districts. We need to, besides that, we need to put on specific plan of actions.
Ən ağırlı problemlərdən biri kəndlərin inkişafında mane olan problemlərdən biri torpaqların kiçik sahələr şəklində pay torpaqları olmasıdır.
One of the painful issues for our agriculture is small parcels allocated for farmers. So we have privatized land and everybody got small pieces of land. That creates problems for generating sufficient income. So basically this income of the farmer families did not correspond to the needs of farmer families.
Yəni bax bu regional proqramların hazırlanması bu prosesləri aktivləşdirir.
All these regional programs can activate this process, you know. Yes, plan of actions can be, the program itself can be regional, but plan of actions can be on administrative district levels. Yes, Right now, we have a state program on social and economic development of regions. And as you know, this program is valid till 2023. It also contains actions for each and every specific administrative district. Besides that, there is documents on areas around Bakü district, Bakü city. There were discussions on specific village-based interventions while discussing the regional problems. We have the representatives of relevant departments of the Ministry of Economy. They are also aware of this process as well.
Proqramlarda xarici
Well, we
təcrübələr
already have a history and experience in drafting this kind of problems. We look at the experience of different countries. We have also ideas expressed by our participants in writing. They say that one of the important issues is to motivate youngsters to stay in rural areas, and for that you need to improve.
Təranə xanımın da burada qeyd etdiyi kimi xülasə ondan ibarətdir ki, kənddə əhalinin gəlir əldə etmə şəraitin şəhərlə eyni eləsək, hədəflərimizə nail olarıq ki, gənclər
should be brought as close to rural as it is possible.
Digər həmkarlarımızın hər hansı bir fikri varsa böyük məmnuniyyətlə dinləməyə hazırıq.
Please feel yourself free to express your ideas. This event is for you.
Aqrar Tədqiqatlar Mərkəzinin əməkdaşları burada iştirak edirlər. İqtisadiyyat Nazirliyinin regional bölməsinin əməkdaşları və ümumiyyətlə bu tədbirlər çərçivəsində demək olar hamımız bir-birimizi daha yaxından tanıyırıq. Ötən həftə elə imkan düşmüşdü.
Our cooperation plus we have this event that made us know each other even better. We recently had a joint event in Kaçmaz. We had a really good discussions. Yes, please. If you have ideas, something to say. Yes, Taran Heydarov is back. She wants to say something. Please, you've heard what we have said, and please go ahead now. We cannot hear you. Unfortunately, we cannot hear you. Sorry.
Bəli, eşidilmir. Bu texniki problem səbəbindən mikrofonunuz da açıqdır, Təranə.
So your microphone is on, but we cannot hear you. You all are panelists. Please feel yourself free to express yourself, express your ideas. I'd like to thank each and every participant. Looking forward to have other speakers to say something.
Buyurun. Hər hansı bir başqa təklif yoxdursa, 15 dəqiqəmiz tamam oldu. Onda növbəti mərhələyə davam edirik.
So we're done with 15 minutes allocated for our discussions. We don't have anything to say. I want to thank everybody who was active and others who tried to be active. Yes, no, seems like we have something. No, just thank you for your efforts.
Okay, thank you very much. And Professor Ramil Hussein, would you like to make some kind of summary of this discussion, because not everything had been translated? Would you like Ramil to wrap up it?
Ramil, can you just simply wrap up, just summarize it in a couple of words, please?
Okay. Üzr istəyirəm. Mikrofonu dərhal söndürürəm, ona görə danışdım, səsim eşidilmədi. Üzrünüz sayın. Buradakı
My microphone was muted, sorry. Yes, we all agreed that it is expedient to have programs based on regional basis. We have 8 climatic zones, and they're developed in a different way. They have their own peculiarities, so it makes more sense and is more efficient to have regional approach. Yes, all these districts are located in a small territory, but challenges and opportunities are different. We have 10 economic regions, and regional focus of all these interventions would be more effective. This is the sum up.
Fikirlərində və vurğulanan məsələdən biri ondan ibarətdir ki, regionlar üzrə olsun, çünki
these discussions because regions are different in terms of what they produce, how they produce, and one of the major issues is that to improve the wages in rural areas, to bring them as close to rural wages as possible in order to keep young generation there. That's it.
Thank you very much. I will go back to some of your proposals after the break. Now I propose the 15-minute coffee break. So let's start at 12:16. 12:16 we'll start the last session of today's webinar. Now coffee break.
Hörmətli həmkarlar, 16 dəqiqə işləmiş hər birinizi gözləyirik. 3-cü və sonuncu hissədir. Səbirlə dinlədiyiniz üçün çox sağ olun. Davam edəcək üçün, yəni 16 dəqiqəlikdən sonra davam edəcəyik.
Okay, thank you. Let's meet in 15 minutes.
Hörmətli həmkarlar, bir dəqiqədən sonra başlayırıq. Daha doğrusu elə 12-16-dır dediyimiz vaxtı. Ümid edirik ki, hamı qoşulur. Vaxtımız çatdı, çünki saat 1-də sizin də nahar vaxtınızdır. Nahar vaxtınıza girməmək üçün vaxtında başlayıb, vaxtında qurtarmağımız şərtdir. Demək olar ki, həmkarlarımızın böyük hissəsi qoşulublar, 6 nəfər qalıb, onlar indi qoşularlar. Onun üçün başlamaq imkanımız var.
We have some participants missing. Otherwise, we can start. Let's wait for a while.
Çox sağ olun.
I think we can start.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ramil, for your great assistance. Let's start our third session.
Xahiş edirəm digər həmkarlarımız mikrofonu bağlasınlar ki, çıxışını daha yaxşı dinləyək və əlavə səs.
Please, those not speaking, mute your microphones in order to avoid having additional sound interventions. Thank you very much.
Nazrin and Ramil, you also could mute participants. So when you will see that someone forgot to switch off microphones, you can do it yourself as well.
Yeah, you are right, Andres. Thank you. Absolutely. I am managing.
Thank you. So this session is about program coordination and implementation. And I will return to two parts of our discussion, but in this session I will present World Bank Rural Development Program. It was implemented in Poland in 2005, and again we'll go back to European Union arrangements. But going back to discussions, I on this few screens will present more of your proposals concerning objectives and goals. So goals in objectives, strengthening the socio-economic development of rural areas by, and here we have targets, increasing crop production, improving infrastructure, strengthening the development of small and medium-sized business in rural areas. A very good proposal, good structure. The next one is increasing the income of the population in rural area by non-agricultural employment, increasing non-agricultural employment, increasing productivity as the result of innovation in agriculture and the development of environmental protection in rural areas by improving the efficiency of water use, prevention of soil erosion, and effective waste management. Very good proposal. And the next one, objectives, reduction of unemployment in rural areas by 2 times in 5 years. So you see here we have both the indicator measure and time frame, increasing by 50% productivity of agriculture in 5 years, the same indicator and time, doubling the number of students admitted to higher education institutions from rural areas with 5 years. So those objectives have clear measures and clear time frame. Increasing the number of subsidized area and clarifying priority areas. Creating a short listing of agricultural product with high export potential and determination of directions. So here we have the objective without time, but nonetheless, after the discussion, it will be possible to add here both indicators and the time frame. Creating their access to the market, increase the producer share in sales revenue. Again, here, after adding some indicators defining points of time, it will be a very good situation. Going back to your discussion, regional or national, yes, I agree with those voices that at the regional level it's much easier to adjust intervention to the local needs.
Excuse me, Andrzej, excuse me. There is a note in the chat that your presentation about the proposed objectives by the participants were not seen by the participants. Can we ask participants whether to repeat it, perhaps? Can we ask Ramil to find out whether it's to be repeated?
Hörmətli həmkarlar, məndə görünür, yəni mən də kənar izləyici kimiyəm. Rəşad müəllim qeyd eləmişdi, onda görünmür. Sizdə başqa görünməyən var? Çünki burada paylaşılıb, hər şey qaydasındadır. Əgər başqa kimdə görsənmirsə, xahiş edirəm qeyd eləsin. Çünki görünür. Çox sağ olun, çox sağ olun. Hamı da görünür. Məncə
everybody see that probably this is an individual issue related to the attendee that has indicated this problem.
Okay.
Now it is fine. Now it is fine. It is resolved.
Thank you very much. So personally myself, I'm very much for a regional approach in rural development. Some of you stressed that each region is different, has its own specific features, and having a regional program, it's easier to adjust intervention to those specificities. So for sure, a regional approach is better. By the way, in the case of Poland, personally myself, I made a great effort trying to convince our authorities to have also regional programs for the period, it was at the period 2007-2013. And I almost convinced the Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development and Minister of Agriculture. But in fact, you know, the heads of regions in Poland, they are marshals called. We have 16 regions, and at the head of the administration, the self-government administration, territorial self-government administration in a region is marshal. Some marshals had been against. And at that time, that had been afraid that it could be too difficult for them to implement programs. So, but it's not so extremely important. But for sure, regional intervention could be a better one. But then we need a very good coordinations, because you know, a region is not in the vacuum. A region has its neighboring regions. So you need to coordinate intervention. So for example, when you plan to build some infrastructure, for example, the solid waste plant, treatment plant, could be for few regions. It could be one. Not each region should necessarily build up its own. So for sure, it's just a simple example, but from many reasons, you need a good good coordination between intervention to have a really well implemented holistic approach. So moving to next example, I chose a rural development project or program we called implemented in Poland in the year 2000-2005. The reason is that, first of all, really, I think that there's a good example for intervention in rural areas. And also it is important that I have been coordinating implementation of this program. So I know it by heart what was in it and what was good, what didn't work perfectly. So the year 2005 and 2000-2005. So the program has been designed to provide medium-term support to the development of rural sector in Poland. In 2004, Poland joined European Union. So the program contributed also to the preparation of our country to the membership of the European Union. But first, our goal was to increase the level of farm employment in rural areas. So also, because from my point of view, very important is a good territorial self-governmental system. So because at this stage we had been after the some stage of decentralization process and strengthening territorial self-government, our project contributed into it as well. And as I already mentioned, the program assists Poland in building institutional capacity to be able to absorb European Union pre-accession and after accession structural funds. So the project was quite significant. It was over 300 million US dollars. And we have this components. I will say a few words about them in a while from the point of view of coordination and institutional arrangement. So in our focus, the rural citizens were most important. So as in many of your proposal, we have infrastructure. Technical infrastructure is a basic condition to create a possibility to develop different kind of activities, to create conditions for job creations. So infrastructure, then educations. Some of you also stress that education of the young population in rural areas is very important, but also we have to keep in mind that education, permanent education is nowadays almost equally important. So our program contributed to education. Also labor redeployment. Wanting shift labor forces from agriculture to other activities, we need to assist people, we need to help them to be ready for taking new jobs. And also for developing small enterprises, we have microloans and advisory system for those who want to start their own businesses. The next objective was strengthening self-government as a result of this territorial self-government system adjustment or development. So we have the gmina, powiat, and the regional level. There are 3 levels of territorial self-government. Gmina is the basic, the most important, powiat and regions. 16 region, over 300 powiats, and 2.5 million gminas, roughly. So we have a special component for increasing institutional capacities of local and regional administration, to prepare them for implementing program, to assist them to be ready, well implement and coordinate implementing program. So we have training for self-governments at the gmina level. For example, in the case of infrastructure, we not only propose infrastructure, but we also try to teach them and build tools how to assess investment. For example, what size of the sewage treatment plants they need. What, because some gminas, some communes have a tendency to overinvest. They build too big infrastructure, and then they face the problem of the high cost of running such oversized investments. We made a labor market survey also for being able to have a good just trainings proposed. And also important role played the project management itself, because this implementation and management of project was a great lesson, great experience for us as well. And this support the process for institutional capacity increases from the point of view of the preparation to the EU. In the program, we have a direct involvement of the 5 ministers. We have all 16 regions. And what is important, we create for implementation of this project the voivodeship project implementation unit in each region. So we have 16 voivodeship project implementing unit. Not all, only 7 voivodeship labor offices, because we didn't cover the whole country, but selected region with highest unemployment rate. And in the project, Agency for Restructuring or Modernization of Agriculture had been involved as well, with 16 regional offices. In this way, our project contributed to prepare agency to be a paying agency for rural development program. So it was the institutional arrangement. And we have the project coordination unit, which coordinate all activities. So what was the decision-making process and flow of funds? Again, you see, I start from beneficiaries, gminas and powiats. So we have a regional steering committee in each in which one out of those 16 regions at the Marshal office. We have this project implementing unit in the office. We have National Steering Committee, which took the most important decision, and project coordinating unit, and Minister of Finance, which was responsible for funds transfer. In the case of regional activities also, Vojevoda is a government representative in the region, and he was responsible for fund transfer. So those blue arrows are showing how the management decision flows, and the transfer of funds. It's a simple chart, but nonetheless it gives the overview. So beneficiaries in the center. And on the regional level, we have a regional steering committee chaired by the Marshal, a voivodeship project implementing unit with director, procurement specialist, financial specialist, and component leaders, and IT specialists. It was also important that we prepared a special software for the program implementation and ARMA regional offices in the region. And in those 7 region voivodeship labor offices and Vojevoda office for transfer of funds. This project was really a great success. From many point of view. First of all, really it assists people to be better prepared. It assists gminas. They really have they gain a lot of experience, and also simply physical infrastructure, rural roads, water supply, and so on. Okay. European Union. So common agriculture policy and rural development policy treated as a second pillar of common agriculture policy. First pillar is agriculture. The second pillar is rural development. We have the but member states played very important role in project implementation and preparation and implementation in this order, and regions. As I showed you a while ago, in some member states they have regional rural development program, but in such case coordinated on the member state level. So for each rural development program, there is a managing authority. In some cases, it's the Minister of Agriculture. In the regional cases, regional authorities. There are possible different arrangements. The next very important institution is the paying agency. This agency, which is responsible for payment, is responsible for control that all requirements are fulfilled, that all projects are implementing according to the EU regulation and national additional requirements. Very important from the point of view of local communities, local action groups. Local action group is the structure which was created for implementation of a leader. The European Union special approach to rural development through the creation of partnership. I see that I didn't connect my laptop to the electricity, so I will make a 1 minute break and will connect it. Otherwise, there's a risk that I will lose energy. So 1 moment, please.
Hörmətli həmkarlar, fürsətdən istifadə edib qeyd eləmək istəyirəm ki, yəni bugün üçün sonuncu təqdimatdır. Növbəti təlim fevral ayına planlaşdırılır. İnşallah bundan bağlı detallı məlumat veriləcəkdir sizə. Səbirlə indiyə kimi dinlədiyiniz, aktiv iştirak edirsiniz. Çox sağ olun və növbəti təlimlərlə bağlı da sizə məlumat veriləcəkdir.
Thank you very much, Ramil, for using time. So, leader and local action group. One of the next webinar, I will say a little bit more about leader and beneficiaries, and farmers, rural inhabitants, and non-governmental organization, and so on. But leader. It's really extremely important from the point of view of development of local communities, support for local communities, and the idea of leader is very much of bottom-up approach. So managing authority. Managing authority is responsible for management and implementation of an operational program. As I said, in the cases when it's one program for the whole country, usually is the minister responsible for agriculture, and in some cases regional authorities. So it could be national ministry, regional authorities, but it could be also a private body, but it has to be nominated and approved by the member state. Managing authorities are conducting their work in line with all legal requirements. So they need to be in line with the principles of sound financial management. This system is the way of spending the taxpayer public money, so it has to be sound. But usually it's a problem to find a way how to fulfill this requirement to follow principles and not create too much bureaucracy. It's always not easy. So the paying agency. The paying agency is responsible for payments, for control, for implementation of some rural development projects. In the case of Poland, this agency for restructuring and modernization of agriculture. It was created at the beginning of the transition in Poland in 1990. 94 for supporting farmers. And then after this rural development program, which I briefly presented to you a while ago, we developed regional branches of this agency, which now are playing important role in the implementation of the Common Agriculture Policy and Rural Development Program in Poland. We create a separate institution, but from the legal point of view, it's possible to do it in this way that, for example, in the existing administrative structure, you could create the paying agency as a separate units organized in a special way. So you can use different arrangements here, but it should be clear. It should be clearly separated from other departments and so on. So now agency have 16 regional offices and over 300 offices at the Powiat county level. So the agency, as the key performer of agriculture policy, working under the supervision of the Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development. Because the agency is spending public money, that is also under the supervision from that financial point of view, under the supervision of the Minister of Finance. So the head, the president of the agency is nominated by the Prime Minister after the agreed proposal between Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development and the Minister of Finance. So those two ministers propose candidate, and Prime Minister is nominating the head of the agency. The main beneficiaries are farmers, but also other rural inhabitants from some measures implemented in the umbrella of this rural development program, entrepreneurs, agri-food sector, and local governments in some rural development measures. The agency also provides the support to entities operating under the fishery sector. So we have only one paying agency, but in some countries there are more agencies, but in such situation there is a need to create the coordinating system. The agency has to be accredited. So it means that the procedures, the rule of the agency are checked, clear, and very well designed, and ensure the smooth, clear, fair, without the risk of fraud, implementation and spending public money. That's all on my side. If you have any questions, any comments, you are more than welcome. If you prefer to discuss is Azeri, Ramil, for sure will be some kind that would moderate the discussion. Any comments, any questions?
Çox sağ olun Ancet. Çox sağ olun Ancet. Bir də 3 dənə çox əhatəli.
Yes, thank you for 3 important presentations. Indeed, they are very important for Azerbaijan, and
Və növbəti 3-cü hissə ilə və yaxud da ki, bundan öncəki hissələrlə bağlı hər hansı bir sualınız varsa,
These presentations, I'd like to thank them.
bura vaxt ayırdığınız mübadiləsi üçün, onun üçün sizin
We
məsələləri daha effektiv şəkildə öyrənməyimizə xidmət edəcəkdir.
appreciate all these contributions.
Qoşulub da verə bilərsiniz.
You can write your questions.
Sizin hamınız öz sahəniz üzrə təcrübəlisiniz. Tərana
You are experts in your field.
elədi.
In your field,
Problem vardı. Amma Tərana xanım sualı yazılı
Tarana had questions with microphone, but she typed her questions.
tamamlaya bilmədi. Gmina yerli bələdiyyə orqanı olduğunu anladı. Siz təqdimatdakı Polşa ilə bağlı
There was a question about the administrative structure of Poland. So gmina can be sort of a municipality. Powiat, this is probably an administrative district for Azerbaijan, equal, I mean, equivalent. And because gminas are part of powiats, I guess, and regions, a number of powiats can be joined in the region.
So it's almost correct, almost, but it's one very important element. The basic element, basic unit of the territorial self-government arrangement in Poland is gmina. And gmina is independent. So what does it mean, this independence? That gmina budget is defined by law. They have the share in taxes and other subsidies, but defined by law, not by the personal decision of some minister or some institution. Independence also means that local authorities are elected by inhabitants. So the head of the gmina council are elected during the election. So no one is deciding who is the head of the gmina, inhabitants themselves. And gmina is independent from powiat. Of course, each gmina is in some powiat, but powiat is not, the above authority. It's playing simply the powiat have a different task than gmina, but there's no, that the head of powiat is telling gminas what they should do. No, not in this way. So gmina, powiat, and region. Three level of territorial self-government.
Çox sağ olun. Ətraflı izah üçün. Təranə xanım, yəqin ki, izah.
Right. Thank you. I guess this made it clear. Yes, she appreciates that. Anybody else? We have 4 or 5 minutes. What else? Is there anything else you want to say? We have very experienced persons. Do you have anything that you would like to clarify? Please go ahead.
But also, I think that it's not, please don't think only about the questions or comments directly connected to my presentations, but maybe you would like to share with your colleagues and us some your thoughts connected to the topics which we discussed today. Please feel free to do it.
Sərbəst olun həmkarlar. Tam sərbəst şəkildə. Bu onu göstərir ki, qeyd edirəm, məsələ hamı üçün tam anlaşılandı. Şübhəsiz ki, sizin hamınızda sahənin peşəkarısınız, bu sahəni bilirsiniz. Onun üçün qeyd edirəm, məsələlər sizlər üçün anlaşılır.
You are experts in your fields, you know all these issues, so you understand all these issues, and you may consider this, I mean, you may need some time to digest it. We have resolved most of the severe technical problems. I hope that next time there will be no problems at all. Thank you for participating. Please express your views, ideas.
Okay, Ramin, I think that you know, if anyone will have additional comments or questions, could send an email or could ask or comment during the next webinar. Thank you very much, Ramin, for your assistance. Thank you very much, interpreter, for your great help. Thank you for Nazrin and Jacek, all who contribute to preparation of this webinar. And I would like to ask Jacek to wrap up and close today's webinar. Thank you very much for your kind attention. Thank you very much for your great contribution to our online discussion. But let me repeat that definitely I will prefer to meet you in the conference room and discuss. And I see
Thank you.
Irai, so Jacek, probably Irai would like to also have a floor.
No, Jacek, go on, please, go on. Just.
Ben yok, Jacek, buyurun, siz danışın.
Okay, just let me say that it seems that the more proactive way of conducting this kind of workshop is more effective. And we are, even with the difficulties caused by the online system of communication, we find this is possible. And we appreciate your commitment and your activities, because it looks that you're really strongly committed to the work of rural development programming and program policy management, which is a big problem, not only in Azerbaijan, believe me, it's also a problem in many other countries, because the countryside always needs a lot of effort to develop, to upgrade its quality of life of rural dwellers. I'm very happy that you reacted so strongly and very professionally to the exercises set up by Andrzej. And believe me, we will do our best to continue and to repeat that kind of approach during the next workshop, which has been scheduled for the 9th of February. It's been already accepted by the ministry, so take a note in your notebooks, in your diaries. 9th of February, we will continue with the workshop number 3. Thank you very much for your attention, for your contribution, for your commitment, and see you in 2 weeks' time on the workshop number 3. If Iraj wants to close it, please.
No,
do.
just would like to thank everybody, both the lecturer, the organizer, and the participant. And if I say it well, tashakur, okay? Thank you.
Thank you and goodbye.
Goodbye. Bye-bye, everybody.
Hörmətli həmkarlar, bugün də təlimimiz başa çatdı. Bir daha çox sağ olun. axıra kimi iştirak üçün və görürəm ki, hamı sona kimi dinləyir. Ramin müəllim, Namiq müəllim və digər həmkarlar. Çox sağ olun, minnətdarıq.
Thank you. Thank you. All the best. Goodbye.
Çox sağ olun, İldar müəllim. Təşəkkür edirəm.
Sağ olun, bizə təşəkkür edirik. Yeni görüşlərə qədər.
Çox sağ olun.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Bye.